Emmerdale spoilers, Rhona fights Naomi, Kyle reveals guilt, Chloe is rushed to hospital. Kyle is taken in for questioning on Emmerdale next week and makes a shock statement. Plus Rhona flies off the handle with Naomi. It's your Emmerdale spoilers for the 9th to the 13th of January 2023. April gets into an argument with Marshall at the cafe, which results in her punching him. And when Rhona hears about this, and also the fact that April has had a piercing, she starts to worry about what she sees as Naomi's malign influence. Cue a confrontation between Rhona and Naomi that escalates into physical violence, and Rhona is livid that Marlon doesn't take her side. Read more, next week on EastEnders. Read more, next week on Coronation Street. The next day, Rhona tries to make peace with April by planning an 80s-themed party. While Arthur forms a plan to stand up to Marshall. Naomi, meanwhile, gets fired from the Woolpack after Rhona has a chat with Charity. But when April later reveals that her belly button piercing was entirely her own idea, will Rhona be forced to make an apology? After collapsing and being taken to hospital, Chloe is subsequently left surprised when Sarah brings both Mac and Charity along to visit her. After listening to what she's been through, Mackenzie finds a moment alone with Chloe and assures her that he'll do what he can to look after both her and the baby. But what neither of them is expecting is for Charity and Sarah to then insist that Chloe moves in with them. By the week's end, Mac will be seen trying to mask his rising panic and doing his best to oust Chloe from the house. But will his efforts end up backfiring on him? All those connected to Kyle are quizzed by the police, with Moira seen trying to stick to her story when questioned by DS Malik about her trip away with the lad. Mac, meanwhile, stays tight-lipped when pressed to reveal more information. Amy, meanwhile, is in a more panicky state, while Matty is left rattled when DS Malik reminds him of the serious consequences of perverting the course of justice. When those involved regroup at Butler's farm, they realize just how high the stakes are for everybody. But Caleb is defensive when his methods are questioned. Later on, though, an anxious Kyle is brought back in for questioning and, at the police station, he reaffirms that it was he who killed Al. After weeks of feeling conflicted about the demands on her time, Dawn is left cheered when Rhona welcomes her back and offers her the chance to train as a vet nurse. Kim and Dawn are also able to resolve their differences, while Nanny Nikki reaches an agreement to stay on at home farm. Gabby has an idea to modernize the business's digital presence, but when Kim comes by to talk about a brochure she's been working on, there's bad news. In Kim's opinion, Gabby is nowhere near ready to run the business. But after Laurel gives Gabby food for thought, Kim ends up ultimately being impressed. Nicola fears that Bernice is getting ahead of herself with the plans she's devising for her new post. And soon enough, all those schemes look likely to be ripped apart when an utterly devastated Bernice learns that Pollard's plan to sell the B&B will put her out of a job. Can she reformulate her ideas? Watch the latest Emmerdale spoilers.